get this situated again real quick, as Riverside likes to do its weird thing now. Hello, and thank you for listening to Guidance and Recovery. I'm Keegan, and every week I speak with guests to honestly explore recovery, sobriety, the struggles that come with it, and find things that help us in our recovery journeys. Today we are speaking to Dr. Lincoln Stoller once again. And if you caught part one, you know that he is a quantum physicist, neuropsychologist, an author, and an extreme mountaineer who is completely shattering the traditional institutionalized mental health mold. We're diving into addiction and how it plays in our sleeping dreams and what we can do to get out of that box. So, Dr. Lincoln Stoller, what's the myth that you'd like to bust about dreams and or addiction tonight?
Well, I'll give you three. First, I
Okay.
don't think we're able to shatter the mental health mold because it's too held together with like steel and rubber bands. And second, I think in dreams the myth should be disabused is that dreams are telling you a message. And
Hmm.
fourth or third, I think with regard to addiction, um, I have a strange feeling that addictions are trying to tell you something. I
Okay.
always look at things opposite, like what's the good of an addiction? What's the bad of a dream? What's the hopelessness in shattering mental health norms?
Hmm. Okay. Ooh. So, I mean, right off the bat, you're saying that we can't break that mold, that mental health is already kind of there, but we don't. In our last episode, you were talking about how you don't like essentially following the line of what other people are saying you have to do right, in a sense, right?
Yeah, did you ever see the movie Forbidden Planet? It was from 1956 or something. It's one of
I
those.
can't say that I have.
Well, it was a classic where, they go into a foreign planet and there's one guy and of course his beautiful bikini-clad daughter, and this is where Robbie the robot first appeared, and
Hmm.
um, and there's a monster, and it turns out the monster is the guy's alter personality, right?
Huh.
And so like this is what I think mental health norms are. They are our monster personality. So
Okay.
you can't. The harder you fight them, the more energy they have.
Ooh. Okay. I do like that outlook because it does seem that if I'm trying to fight certain things, that they just have more of a stranglehold on me, in a
Well,
sense.
I think you could call it an addiction if you want, a social addiction.
Ooh, yeah. Okay. So real quick, about the dreams aspects, though, you're saying that the dreams aren't always telling us a message. That maybe it's just like a movie that's playing in our head, and we're just there to sit there and enjoy it.
Actually, I think it's a horror movie. We're to sit there and be uh, motivated to confront what comes up in our dreams. In other words, what
Hmm.
comes up in our dreams are all the things that we don't want to deal with in daily life. All our
Okay.
dissatisfactions, all our sorrows, all our fears, because is it kind of I mean, this ties into the whole habitual thing. We're habitually looking for comfort and satisfaction and avoiding the hard work.
Okay.
I don't know,
Huh.
that's kind of a negative message, but
No.
that's what growth is. It's
Yeah.
breaking out of the shell.
Yeah, yeah, I was about to say it's not a negative message, it's just a different perspective because if we were to sit there and say like, "Oh, well, dreams are like the bliss, like the end all be all," then it's like, well, no wonder some people want to only be asleep, and they want to escape the real world. Uh,
Hey, talk about alcohol and opium and
yeah,
right.
been
Okay.
there, done that.
Yeah.
Uh, and so it's just interesting because you're saying that the dreams are kind of giving us insight to what we should be kind of getting ourselves towards,
Well, you
right?
could call it a sort of an entree into your subconscious. Like
Hmm.
all the stuff that comes. I constantly have dreams of my parents and my former wives
Uh-huh.
because I never resolved my parents. No one ever does. And I haven't resolved my former wives because they left me and
Mm.
I didn't understand. But I
Mm.
feel like I'm starting to understand.
Okay.
Gee, only taken me 30 years. You're lucky if you could figure this stuff out. This is
Yeah,
life stuff.
yeah, that's for sure. And I
So
mean,
this is what appears.
yeah, it's the things that are we're trying to kind of make sense of, and we're not always aware of the things because I mean, isn't it true that our conscious only is aware of like maybe 10% or so of like what's actually going on around us, and our subconscious is like grabbing everything and like throwing it into the slow cooker in the back room?
Well, I think that's optimistic. You know, we think we're looking, we think our eyes see the world, but it's interesting that there's this foveal vision, the center vision where your vision is most acute, and it's only as big as your thumbnail held at arm's length.
Hmm.
And your eye has to constantly move around, kind of paint in the stuff
Mm-hmm.
around it. And that's why when you read a text, a line of text, your eye scans the text. And
Mm-hmm.
you can learn to see more broadly, but it takes a while to, it's called speed reading. But
Mm-hmm.
you don't scan 360 degrees. You just remember and look at your peripheral vision, and it's full of holes, right? Blind
Uh-huh.
spots and so forth.
Yeah.
And, the old lady who opens the door and hits the cyclist on the road is not just not paying attention, but she's not seeing. You
Mm-hmm.
have, anybody who drives carefully is looking around. And I kind of learned this by flying airplanes where you have to even look around more because things can
Mm.
be coming from, you know, hopefully the forward 180 degrees, but in
Mm-hmm.
truth, they could actually be coming from behind you, but you can't turn around.
Yeah.
So um, we're aware of very little. I
Mm.
wouldn't say 20%. I would say 0.1%.
Oh.
Visually, yeah, that's like not
Uh-huh.
extreme, but I think it's fair to say that in other regards we are also limited.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's like wake up. Well, it's hard to wake up. It's hard to be constantly. I mean, this is the question of if you start waking up, you start to get vigilant and you start to realize all that you're missing, and you
Mm.
can get anxious and you can get fearful and you can get stressed out. So how do you deal with that? That's like a rhetorical question. You deal with it by various things. You can fill in the blank.
Yeah. Okay. Uh and it's it's I'm sorry, it's just interesting that you brought up that vision aspect because I remember one time whenever I was doing shrooms, it was like I could see what was over here so vividly all of a sudden. And I was like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah. I know. I've had that experience too. It's like overwhelming.
Uh-huh.
It leaves you speechless.
Uh-huh.
And I don't even think that you have to ask, is it a real? Did I really see that? The thing is that you suddenly become so hyper aware,
Mm-hmm.
and your little mind, which is like understanding reality, like drinking through a straw, is just
Yeah.
it's can blow you away.
Yeah, and that's why I mean, uh, I've heard all those instances, and I've had them myself of people doing psychedelics and having this grand experience, and then whenever like they sober up and get back to center or whatever, most of it just kind of goes away like it was a dream of sorts because it's like there's so much information there. So,
Yeah, I remember in ayahuasca. I don't, was it ayahuasca? I don't know what the
ooh,
hell it was. But I had this experience where I was being overwhelmed. If you've ever done ayahuasca, you know that there are these patterns. You see these patterns, so electric
mm-hmm,
patterns. And I was just trying to follow them, and they seemed so deep and complicated and dynamic that I told myself, I will remember. And I kept repeating myself, I will. And now when I think back, that's all I can remember is telling myself I can remember. Because it's
man,
like it was an experience I don't have a normal life.
mm-hmm,
I have some words for it, but I can't recreate the experience.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Ooh, that's kind of hard to sit there and say that that's all you can remember is you telling yourself you'll remember it. And it's kind of the opposite of like putting something somewhere and you're like, all right, I'm going to remember where I put this. and then
That's all you
just
can remember. All right, so to be a little more generous, I can remember a little bit.
uh-huh.
I can like, I can't fly, but I can jump in the air and land again. I can jump, and that's about all I can achieve.
Yeah. Okay. Um, and so, I mean, whenever we are looking at our dreams and everything like that, it's essentially our subconscious trying to say, like, hey, chew on this to get a little bit more vigilant or to be more self aware in the future, possibly.
Well, I have to go. Movies are a great thing. So a lot of
Hmm.
alien movies have aliens who speak in English.
Yeah.
And, the question arises, why do you speak in English? And the answer is, well, because that's the only language you understand. I mean, at least the sophisticated movies move in
Uh-huh.
that direction. So, you could say that the dream is trying to tell you this because that's the only thing you can understand. But I
Mm.
think what the dream is doing is something deeper. It's doing that psychedelic thing. It's flooding you with information.
Mm.
It's not diluting it or transcribing it or writing it down with a quill pen in words that you can understand. Those are the only things you can remember,
Uh-huh.
perhaps. But it's giving you, and I don't even know if the dream is giving you images or it's giving you feelings and you're putting the images on them.
Mm.
Maybe it doesn't really matter because it's almost beyond our ability to control when we're in the dream.
Mm-hmm.
Though I should say this, that contradict myself. The more you work with dreams and the more you work with psychedelics, the more control you get in the experience.
Hmm.
You get more grounded, you get more familiar, you get calmer, you get more interested, um, and you gain a little more agency in both of them.
Hmm.
And you want that.
Yeah. And so, I mean, is that why there's that? Well, maybe not saying, but is that why dreams kind of speak to us in symbols because that is the language of the subconscious?
Well, they speak to us in words too, and images.
Mm,
So all of those things uh, are more integrated in a dream.
mm,
Because you can't take any of them out and still make sense of the dream. Like I had a dream, just to give you an example, where I was crawling through a low path through the bushes, following a monkey to whom I'd given an apple core while I was dragging a briefcase. Now, if you take them apart, none of them make any sense. They
uh-huh.
only make sense, if they make sense at all, in some kind of putting it all together, like
Mm-hmm.
some sort of rebus. Isn't that the word? Rebus means like some sort of puzzle. Um,
Hmm.
so that I do think it's a wonderful question to ask, where does it come from? I mean, you have
Mm-hmm.
to say, well, you could say it came from God. You could say this is a vision, a divine
Mm-hmm.
vision. That's fine. Okay. Well, you could say it came from hell. That might not be so fine, but some people's experiences are bad.
Uh-huh.
But you like to have some, like I say, agency, some
Mm-hmm.
ability to either accept or deny it. If
Mm.
it's bad, you'd like not to have to go there. And if it's
Yeah.
good, you'd like to bring it on more and remember it more.
Mm-hmm.
Then I do think you gain that ability with practice.
Okay. So here's a question. Like a lot of people in early recovery especially have those using dreams where it's just so vivid that they just got done using their substance of choice or whatever and they wake up in a sweat because they're afraid that they actually did it because it was so real, or they may even have that lingering feeling of uh the effects of it. And I whenever I was in rehab, someone would laughingly refer to it as like, "Oh, I stole one," or something like that. And I was like, "Oh, well, I don't know if that's the best like way to look at it because you're still wanting that experience maybe, but at the same time, like if you're running from something and that was your comfort to like alleviate that pain that you're running from, then maybe that's something that was good, but so why do you think that those dreams come up for someone that is in early recovery?"
I think they, I think it's answered by the content or the description that we've given of a dream. It
Mm,
bubbles up the the thoughts, the impulses, the emotions that are pertinent in your life. And they don't come up as finished sentences. They don't come up as neatly tied packages or answers. I mean, the most important questions in everything are the ones you can't answer. The
Yeah.
ones you can answer are just kind of temporary.
Mm.
I
Oh.
will say it's it amused me the other day because I dream a lot. I have a terribly unusual sleep schedule. I sleep twice
Mm.
a day, and I'm always remembering my dreams. And here's an important thing: you don't remember your real life all that well either. you know, so I had this image that I was in a bathroom, and I
Mm.
was peeing in the bathroom, and I hadn't closed the door, and I was thinking, did that really happen, or was that a dream?
Mm.
And I remembered finally, it really happened. I was in a restaurant and the bathroom door didn't close.
Ah.
But I didn't have much better memory of it in real life than I have
Uh-huh.
out of a dream. So I
Huh.
found that kind of amusing. And it helped me, like, oh, well, real life. Just another, you know, fucked up adventure in real life. Um, and so I would say that, if it's hard to say go easy on yourself if you're feeling that you're uncomfortable with something you're experiencing. But I think you have to trust the process.
Mm.
Maybe that's too generous. Maybe if you've got a damaging addiction, you can't trust the process quite as much. But I would like to trust, and I would like to encourage people to trust the process as much as is safe,
Mm.
because the process is almost out of your control. You're trying to gain control over it, but you didn't have control over it for whatever reason.
Mm.
So maybe you have to learn by one usually learns by trying and failing. So
Yeah.
you can't condemn yourself for failure any more than you can condemn yourself for learning, which would not be a good approach.
Mm.
So I mean, what are you going to say? Like, oh well, yeah, I just snorted a few lines, or is that a good thing to say? Or
Eh.
I just went on a bender because I think I had a client who used to forgive themselves for going, on total blotto benders, and I thought that was a little too generous of them
Huh.
to allow themselves that much.
Uh-huh.
But ultimately, you are your own guardian, and if you're not
Mm.
your friend, and if your guardian is not your friend, or you
Uh-huh.
can't make friends with your guardian, then you're out of luck
Mm.
because no one can understand you as well as you can.
Oof. Yeah. Okay. No one can understand you as well as you can, and so the dreams are sitting there trying to, again, just kind of give you something else to understand about yourself. And like you said, we don't under we don't remember real life that well, anyways. And I'm right there with you. Like, I've had a few concussions, and after all the alcohol abuse, my brain space is not what it used to be. But even then, it's like I will still sometimes almost confuse dreams with reality.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I've even heard that we're really, 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 really good at making up memories and
Yeah.
like feeling like they were actually real. And it's like, it's
But
so
memories
strange.
are made up. They are fabricated from the bits we remember. We fill in the
Uh,
blanks. Did you really see a red car on the highway yesterday? Or did you see a car on the highway yesterday and a red car today? You know,
mm,
and put it together.
mm,
So
huh.
we're doing that all the time. Your memories are not like photographs. They're like jigsaw puzzles, or partly
uh,
assembled jigsaw puzzles. And like I know I'm finding my memory failing me. I wouldn't
mm,
notice it except that I have good visual memory, and I can
mm,
remember places and faces. but the names of the places and the names of the people are not coming up,
Mm.
and I can see the missing part. If
Huh.
I didn't remember anything, it wouldn't bother me, but I can remember, I can feel my memory.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Ooh.
it,
Feel
it's
the memory.
it's annoying, but there you go.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah.
uh,
So
uh,
feeling the
and so,
memory?
you know, I don't do psychedelics anymore because I got enough information. I feel I
Mm.
have enough information.
Yeah.
And the last time I did mushrooms, I didn't like it. So
Mm.
if it's not fun and I don't need it,
Why do
but
it?
I never really, I didn't like mushrooms. I like mushrooms as a biological thing, but a mushroom experience.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I just learned they're hard on your kidneys, so maybe that's not so great for,
Ugh.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah, no thanks.
yeah.
Uh, yeah. Um, and so it's really interesting that our brains are or memories rather, like you were saying, that partially a simple jigsaw puzzle. And I mean, it's interesting to think that our experiences make us who we are, right?
Mm,
So
mm.
without our experiences, are we still the same person that we are now, right? So is that kind of like uh what some of trauma healing and stuff like that does, is like try to get rid of the old jigsaw puzzles that don't no longer serve us?
Um, I think there's, yeah, a choosing between what you want and what you don't want. To answer your first question, my mother died of Alzheimer's.
Mm,
So for 10 years, I could watch her go. And near the end, she had no memory and she had no
mm,
personality.
oof.
She was, if not a vegetable, she was close to a vegetable.
Mm,
I mean, she still functioned at a rudimentary level, but without her
mm-hmm,
mind, and if you study sort of pathological psychology, there are all kinds of stories of strange people and their behaviors
uh-huh,
that make you realize that the behavior makes the person.
mm,
If you're acting violently, well, you might just as well be called a violent person. You might change tomorrow,
mm-hmm,
but at the moment, you are what you manifest.
mm,
So, if you succumb to your addiction, that's who you are at the moment. The
mm,
question is that who you're going to be tomorrow? And
ooh,
are you in control of that?
mm-hmm,
Um, and this is why I think it's a serious question. I don't know what the answer is because, as I said, I feel addicted to the people I love or have loved, and
mm-hmm,
I mean, everybody should be able to relate to this. We've had lovers and friends in our lives, and I think if you're an honest person, you should have had some real feelings for these people at some point.
mm-hmm,
And now, where are they? They're gone. Are they going to come back? Probably not.
mm-hmm,
And I think that's sad. I think that's like, there's a certain kind of abandonment of all that we invested in.
oof,
And the more mature approach would be to, I don't know if it would be not to have abandoned people. Um, that's complicated, of course, because you'd have to know what you had at the time. You'd have to be honest and clear and direct.
mm-hmm,
And a lot of us have trouble with being those things in the
yeah,
moment.
mm-hmm,
So you may feel like you've polluted your nest, as it were, and there's bad blood or something.
mm-hmm,
But, you know, what's your coping strategy? Are, you're going to go on to have a new relationship? You're going to go on to use a new substance? You're going to go on to have another ecstatic experience? Are you trying to forget? Or are you trying to enlarge?
mm,
And like I said, nobody can pass. nobody can answer that but you, really.
Yeah. Oof.
You know. And
Yeah.
this is why I get very annoyed by pop psychologists and people who sell basically absolution, right? Feel good
Mhm.
solutions, feel good psychology is very
Yeah.
popular.
Ugh.
What to do, that you love yourself and be nice to your neighbor. It borders on religion, which also
Mhm.
bother me. But I think everybody, no, let's give a few exceptions. Most people want to be absolved of their guilt.
Mhm.
And I feel guilty for like my first girlfriends, when I was like 15 and wanted to have sex and sort
Mhm.
of insinuated myself on people. I wouldn't call it seduction. That would give me too much credit. But, just. And then I felt, gee, I feel shitty about that. I mean, these
Mhm.
were difficult times for all of us. And it was like hit and run on my part.
Mm.
And maybe
Ouch.
other people's too. And then the result was that we just scattered and
Mhm.
shattered and scattered. And I'd love to meet those people again and
Yeah.
resolve that.
Mhm.
But I won't because it's too far gone. You know,
Hmm.
too much time and lost connection.
Yeah.
So then the addiction. See, I think there's something positive to addiction. It's called stubbornness. It's called, you know, uh, conviction. I really
Uh-huh.
believe this is the right coping strategy. I mean, are you taking a substance, or are you misbehaving or behaving, however,
Uh-huh.
for a good goal?
Mhm.
Uh, You know, it's one thing to like go out and picket or do a public demonstration of political disobedience, and it's another
Uh-huh.
thing to like punch a cop.
Yeah.
And one of them you're doing something that you try to be positive, and the other you're just getting yourself put in jail. And
Uh-huh.
you know that's so. And the more intense things become, the harder it is to judge what's the right action to do.
Mhm.
So if you're like really feeling shitty, you might indulge in your coping strategy.
Mhm.
And I think the question is, how much of that do you have to do until you can move on? Because maybe you
Ooh.
have to do some of it.
Uh-huh.
If you're just
Oof.
going to excuse yourself anything, that's
Mhm.
not good. If you're going to deny yourself everything, that's not good either.
Yeah.
So there's got to be some sort of, love your demons approach,
Mhm.
I think.
Yeah.
Now, what do
Yeah.
you think? Is this useful advice, or is this just bullshit?
No, I think you hit some really, really strong points, and it's making me put together some dots and lines because you one of the things that you said was about like how much do I have to use until I can like put that stuff behind me or whatnot, and like how much do I really have to cope? And it's interesting because like there's different layers to what drove my addiction, right? Like there's the childhood trauma slash neglect, and then there's the backstabbing whenever I was in high school, or rather right at the end of it. And then there was the aspect of like, okay, I lost a younger cousin that was essentially a younger brother. And then so that was also another thing on top of everything else. And so as I've gone through and I've started to heal different aspects, it's like, oh, well, that was it. Oh, no, that was it. Oh, no, that was the cause. And at the same time, I'm not sure if I've really found what I'm not sure if there was a singular thing, but at the same time, because there's that saying that recovery is getting back to who we were before the traumas and addictions. I didn't have that to go back to. So I've had to kind of rebuild. And it's interesting because there's different aspects of me that have to be worked on individually that make the whole, if that makes sense. I can't sit there and say, "Oh, I've worked on this portion or this problem and suddenly everything's better." It's just that there was one thing that added on to another and another. But you're right. I thought that sitting there and drinking to forget and stop existing was the solution. I thought that that was going to fix everything. And then
Yeah.
it started causing problems. And I was like, oh, I already know how to fix my problems. So I'm just going to keep drinking more because obviously I didn't drink enough.
Hmm.
And then the scary sad part was whenever I finally was like, okay, I want to stop, but I looked it up and I was like, oh, alcohol withdrawal, like quitting cold turkey could kill me. No thanks. So it was like, do
Right.
I want to try to like do this on my own and possibly die just from quitting drinking, or do I want to try to manage it and maybe die a slower, like die quicker kind of thing? So I was like, I'll try to manage it, and then it just didn't work that way. My body was too far gone.
Hmm.
So yeah.
So what did you
So
do? Did you have to go into a rehab that supported you to go cold turkey, and or did they manage your withdrawal
uh
incrementally?
so uh the day that it all kind of happened, I was actually at the ex-wife's to sign paperwork for the divorce and stuff. And like I hadn't drank as much as I usually did by that point, and she wasn't letting me drive home, and so I was like, well, whatever. So anyways, long story short, I got talked to and was like, hey, there's a detox center just right up the road if you want to go. And so I was like, all right,
Hmm.
I'll go. So got signed in for a medically assisted detox. I was there for about a day, and then my liver failed while I was going into delirium tremens, and I woke up in a hospital bed tied to it about 4 days later. And then after that, a week later
Wow, 4 days.
after
Wow.
yeah. And then after that, I went down to Dallas, where I'm at now, for a 9-month rehab. So, yeah, I had my near death experience. I met my higher powers. And so it took me not good things to finally get there. But yeah,
Well, I hate to ask the question because I don't know if it has an answer, but could you have done it in any other way?
nope. And
Yeah.
that's the thing too. Like people have asked me before, they are like, what would you say to yourself back then to maybe get yourself out? And I've thought about it like long and hard. Anything that I could have said to myself was already said by
Hmm.
someone else. And
Hmm.
it just wasn't enough. I'm that person that has to touch the hot stove sometimes. I had to go and through that experience. I don't know why exactly, but the thing was is that I I like I said, it's multifaceted. I don't think that there's a clear-cut answer, except for I had to go through it because otherwise it wouldn't have made sense to me.
Well, my feeling is that uh, I mean people blame the substance, and I don't
Mm.
really think that's fair.
Mm-mm.
I think it's the substance is taking you to a place,
Yep.
and it's the place you have to go to, not the substance that's making you go there.
Mhm.
So I would say that find a better way to go there
Yeah. Yep.
rather than using a toxin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I mean, you didn't. It's interesting. Your experience, as you just described it, did not sound like a psychological recovery. It sounded like a chemical recovery. You
Mhm.
know, you went through the detox, and then I don't know what they did in the center for 6 months. But when I deal with people with psychological issues,
Mhm.
sometimes they are addicted to a substance. I don't even know it, and in fact, I don't care as long as we're
Mhm.
working on it
Yep.
and it's not interfering. You know, whatever. Um, like you're vaping or something. I see these wisps of smoke or something. Didn't I see that, or was it a candle or something?
Incense.
Oh, incense. All right. So sometimes I have clients and I see the wisps of smoke and I know they have a coping strategy, is what I
Mhm.
think.
Yeah.
And then I think, what is it that they're coping?
Mm-hmm.
Is it what we're talking about? Because I hope so. Otherwise, we're
Yeah.
not talking about the right thing. And some people, well, I mean, it's possible that they could have different problems and different
Mm-hmm.
solutions. But I like to try to pull it together and say, what is it about this problem that you have that's similar to this problem that you have? And there are a lot of, it's an interesting question because almost everybody has a problem with their parents.
Yeah.
Because, just
Who
because.
doesn't? Yeah.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
And I mean, if you have good relationships with your parents, they can't give you everything you needed.
Nope.
And for some reason, you've got the impression that they're going to.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was never written in the contract, but, so there's always sort of a problem. And then the
Uh-huh.
question is, well, how is that related to this problem?
Mm-hmm.
And, the two connections, usually your parents and your relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've found that more clear in my life. And it only becomes clear because I chew on it. I'm reminded of those dog chews, those rawhide dog chews that eventually get so disgusting and
Uh-huh.
mucilaginous. That's what my life feels like. It's like a dog chew. And
Ugh.
at some point, I'm just going to swallow it or something. It's going to get soft enough to pass.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I mean, this is why I keep chewing on it. I don't have
Mm-hmm.
any chemically destructive habits, but I have emotionally. Well, I don't know. They feel destructive, but I can't shed them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to say, what is it about my ex-wife that I feel grieving about?
Mm-hmm.
Grieving is interesting. That's another
Yeah.
problem we have dealing with the death of people around us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Grieving is almost easier, it seems. People get a lot of support to get over it,
Mm-hmm.
and usually they do, except in some cases, like when you lose a child, apparently that can be something you never get over.
Mm-hmm.
But other things we don't get over with so much support.
Yeah.
And I think in relationships we don't get a lot of support because not many people know how deeply we are involved with people. It's
Mm-hmm.
personal.
Yeah.
Um, so what is your, I mean, I'm talking about heartbreak here. So what is, and it's particular in its form, what is your, how did you bring your problems upon yourself?
Mm.
And you could say that for your parents, even if you have abusive parents.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about this problem you've brought upon yourself? So if you notice that you have a chemical habit, what is it in your environment or your memory
Mm-hmm.
that you're either coping with or avoiding?
Mm-hmm.
Um, my brother said he couldn't get through architecture school without heroin. I don't know heroin, but it
Mm.
has the reputation of being dangerous. But in my
Mm-hmm.
brother's hands, it was a medicine,
Yeah.
and he was able to use it.
Hmm.
But apparently, it's not so easy to use. I mean, wasn't heroin once part of I know cocaine was once part of cough medicines, but I think heroin is part of. I mean, it's all opiates anyhow,
Mm-hmm.
but they were part of medicines. And now we've got fentanyl, which is a medicine
Mm-hmm.
which gets abused.
Yep.
So you should know what you're doing and why. There
Yeah.
should be a goal, like you take an antibiotic to get rid of the infection,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody wants to be addicted to an antibiotic, and it's not particularly addictive. But I
No.
suppose if you were like a person who always thought you were, what's it called? The person who always hypochondriac.
Hypochondriac.
Yeah,
Yep.
I suppose you could be addicted to medicines, always needing
Mm-hmm.
some medicine.
Yeah.
But to me, that's like your addiction is to illness, not really medicine. So,
Mm-hmm.
are you addicted to? What is it that you're addicted to? It's not the substance. It's
Mm-hmm.
like I ask you, what were you addicted to? Was it
Uh.
coping with grief or trauma?
Well, and that's the thing. So it was at one point coping with the trauma, and then it was coping with grief, and then it was a chemical dependence, because like I would go a few hours without a
Mm.
drink and I'd start shaking really bad.
Uh-huh.
And so like in my rehab, that was the first time I actually had therapy. And then that's whenever all the walls started breaking down and it was like, oh wait, oh, okay, so that's why I would be like going towards a drink to alleviate the pain that I was feeling and stuff like that. So that's where I think I had both the like chemical dependence and addiction, but at the same time, I was addicted to running away from pain. And
Yeah,
at
coping
some point,
strategy.
yeah, and at some point, pain was part of my identity, and I didn't even realize it. That was the
Mm-hmm.
hard thing. So it was like without hurting and going through this kind of stuff, well, who the hell am I? Like,
Oh, that's
and
hard.
uh-huh.
Yeah, I
And I'm
think that's I call it guilt because I'm not quite sure what word to put on it, but
mm-hmm.
a sense of low value.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at people who do cutting. They're generally quite lucid about what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They do it intentionally, they do it carefully, and they do it in a measured way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not suicidal,
Yep.
it's something else. The odd thing is, these strategies often, well, coping strategies often, they don't rehabilitate you.
Mm.
It's like a crutch for a bone that doesn't heal.
Oof.
You just get dependent on them and you never
Uh-huh.
heal.
Yeah.
And
Ooh.
that's the problem.
Uh-huh. Oh, you just made me realize something that like so back whenever I was in my first year of doing apprentice electrical work, I broke my femur. I had like 1,200 pounds of drywall fall on me. And so whenever I got back to work, one of my journeymen, he would yell at me to stop limping. And I was like, it hurts. And he was like, I don't care if it hurts. You're going to stop fucking limping right now because if you heal with that limp, you're going to have it for the rest of your life. And now I
Uh-huh.
walk around and I hardly have a limp and you wouldn't know that I have a metal rod in my femur.
Uh-huh.
And so that's interesting. Like using coping skills in a certain way could be someone trying to like walk on a amputated leg of sorts.
Look at bad posture. We
Uh-huh.
don't consider it very seriously, but it becomes a habit,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah. Oh.
it weakens your structure,
Mm-hmm.
and it may even lead to a certain psychological presentation. Always slumped, always
Mm-hmm.
down, looking down. I mean, I don't know what your bad posture is, but I mean, there are all these things that they tie together. It's like I sit down too much.
Mm-hmm.
I sit at my computer and I administer remote therapy, and as I get older, that's going to become more and more detrimental to my health.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wouldn't call it a coping strategy, but it's become habitual.
Mm-hmm.
After a while, I just sit down,
Yeah.
and I have to like consciously struggle to change that and to
Mm-hmm.
get exercise and to move around. I seem to be going off in a kind of pointless tangent, but
No, it's not.
it's a habit, is what I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
It's not coping; it's accommodating. It's so there's a the coping strategy is like your limp,
Mhm.
and the accommodating strategy is to ignore it.
Mhm.
So those are kind of two different things. Once you pay attention to your limp, it doesn't immediately go away.
Mhm.
Now you have to work at it. So if you're aware of why you're addicted, it doesn't mean you're immediately free of it.
Mhm.
Um, I like the dream approach because if you remember your dreams, and you can simply get better at it very easily by waking up with enough time to think about things
Uh-huh.
and not with an alarm clock, but sort of naturally,
Uh-huh.
then it will remind you of the things that bother you. And
Mm.
it will be like a jigsaw puzzle. Like, or like a psychedelic experience. They're never the same twice. I mean,
Yeah.
have you? Well, with the exception of nightmares, most of my dreams are never the same twice.
Mm-mm.
Um, and they have similar characters. Like I said, my parents often come up, and my
Mm-hmm.
exes come up. But it's funny. I have two kids. They don't come up. I don't have
Huh.
any traumatic memory of my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I, it's the traumas that come up. And I'd like to, I do think, maybe this is, I don't know, general or not, but I have noticed a trend where in my dreams, my traumas have become less traumatic.
Mm.
So, like, I've had a trauma with my mother. I felt ignored and abandoned, not abandoned, but emotionally
Mm-hmm.
abandoned. She
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
present, but she wasn't emotionally present.
Mm-hmm.
But over time, she's appeared in my dreams in a more pleasant and supportive way.
Huh.
So that, what is my memory of her? Is it my
Uh-huh.
real memory or the memory of the dream?
Ooh.
Well, I'm just happy if I just remember the dream
Mm-hmm.
because that's the mother I'd rather have. And in
Yeah.
a sense, you say, well, you just can't invent your mother. But if you dream about her enough, it becomes the memory that first comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it does. Now I think of her as a smiling person rather than a distracted person.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never understand her, although I might think I did, but I was a kid and she was from another generation and didn't talk about, this was like in the 60s. Even today, people don't really talk about what's bothering them
Yeah.
to most of their friends. So I do. I mean, you didn't talk about what they did in rehab. Maybe you should, in terms of why people should engage in it. So let me ask you, did they do in rehab something that was important for your ultimate recovery?
Ooh. And that I think that the answer to that would be the therapy,
And
that
was it
and I think
useful?
so because that was the thing is that I had never really been able to feel like I was able to express myself. And I felt like if I were to express those grievances, the things that hurt me, then I was weak. I was not worth it. And I was not able to do these things. But the other thing is that I also contribute to the uh maximum benefit was that one, they did put me on some medication to help stabilize my mental health while I was there, which I am now off of. But that's the thing is that I was there for 9 months. That was a lot of time to have me reevaluate myself, take a deep look at a lot of different things.
Well,
And
especially if they disconnected you from your past life. I mean,
yeah,
I,
you didn't
I
have a
can't
phone.
imagine spending 9 months in a hospital.
Yeah.
I was like,
uh
I'd go nuts. It's like one
mhm.
flew over the cuckoo's nest. What would I do? Like eat lunch all
Yeah.
day? I don't know what I'd do.
Yeah, and I mean, but it's a rehab that like not many people have ever heard of, which isn't surprising. It's not like it's a conglomerate franchise all over the US kind of thing. It's called the Men of Nehemiah, and it's a ministry of sorts. But the thing is that they do a military aspect to where it's all physical, like we did like workouts and went marching and stuff like that. Then
Hmm.
we had the spiritual aspect of like they focused on the Bible, which I don't align with all that stuff, but hey, I still was able to get a lot of different lessons out of it, which also kind of
Interesting.
helped. But
Wow.
then there was the therapy aspect, which was the mental health. So
Hmm.
it it was like a three-pronged attack of sorts on one subject, and it was in a community, so it was a whole bunch of different guys all having different aspects of trauma, grief, addiction kind of stuff. And so
Yeah.
it was really healing in that aspect because I got to talk to different guys that were going through something because I thought that I was the worst alcoholic like that had ever existed. And so it's like how that was another thing too is that like it broke a lot of different ideas of myself in the way that I needed to have happen in a
Hmm.
way because I also didn't really think that people could show unconditional love to some extent. I still think that part of it was conditional, but that's for another topic later. But
Yeah, yeah.
there was a lot to it. It wasn't just one thing, but I'd have to say that it was the therapy and the time that I was out from the world. Like I said, I didn't even have my cell phone. Like that's one thing they take from you whenever you go in. You don't get a cell phone until you're 6 months in and you start going back to work while you're still in the program. So it's like yeah, I couldn't even sit there and be like, all right, I'm going to text ex-wife to like re-trigger myself for some weird
Yeah,
reason.
right.
So
You
yeah.
know, I got a lot of benefit as a mountaineer dealing with extreme people, and it was sort of reminds me of your experience because you
Mm,
share and you depend and you interact, you see, and you live the consequences of some extreme. What do they call it? Combat bonding,
uh,
trauma bonding. We
yeah.
might have mentioned this before, but so, and in a sense, you're talking about trauma bonding.
Mm,
Uh, and it wasn't that the people I bonded with were all love and kindness and revelation. They were often like weird and compelled and extreme, but I could see them sort of heading over the bend. And it is true that a lot of people die in these situations, but that's almost incidental because as long as you keep doing crazy stuff, you're gonna eventually,
yeah.
you know, get unlucky. But
Mm,
the point was that I got to see, you know, the first book I wrote was called The Learning Project, where I interviewed people about how they learned, and I interviewed young people and old people, and the two things that came out of that project of interviewing nearly 40 people was, and I don't know how to say it except very, you know, briefly,
mm,
is that they found a way to love themselves. In other words, found their own sense of inner guidance,
mm,
and they worked with people that were mentors
mm,
who provided them with role models.
mm,
And the important thing about a mentor is you don't need much time with a mentor. It's like being with Jesus or at the foot of the master. You only need to be touched by them, not in a religious sense, but in a spiritual sense.
mm,
And they can leave a lasting impact on you.
yeah.
So I, spent most of my life looking for mentors and went through like 1,000 candidates and found three.
Uh-huh.
And those three I didn't spend much time with, but I didn't need to because they were such um, sterling role models.
Mm,
And most of the people I came in contact with were anti role models.
mm,
And, they showed me what not to do. And that's useful. But
yeah.
you have to know how to assimilate that because it
Uh-huh.
usually comes off as your problem, right?
Yeah.
You're stupid. It's not them that's stupid. You're disabled or you
Uh-huh.
can't keep up. And
Yeah.
you have to see, if you watch somebody who tells you that you can't keep up and you watch them go off and kill himself, then you realize that the story was fucked up, you
Yeah.
know. Or if you more commonly, if you don't get high grades in school and then you look back at those teachers who gave you those grades and you see that they went nowhere,
Mm,
then you realize that the whole thing was a charade
mm,
and
yeah.
that your belief in yourself according to other people's standards was fucked up from the beginning.
Mm,
And that helps in letting the whole thing go.
yeah.
It doesn't answer your question. You don't know whether you're worth anything, but you
Mm,
sure as hell know that you're not worth nothing because you didn't, make the team or whatever it was.
yeah. Kind
And
of
that
puts the
that
ball
can be
back in your
very,
court.
important.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it puts the ball back in your court. It
Yes.
gives you that sense of agency again.
Yes. You don't. I thought the image that came to me. They have those tennis machines that just shoot balls at you.
Uh-huh.
That's what dreams are like. They take your emotional trauma and they just keep throwing them at you, and you're trying to hit them, but that's how you learn, right? You
Yeah.
eventually get better at it.
Yeah. Huh. That's really interesting. And I'm going to have to dissect some of my dreams and have that lens with it, because like last night I just had a dream where met like teenage self was there, and then like I think 4 or 5 year old me was there too. It was really interesting, and like a lot of weird stuff happened, but like it was weird, but it was the first time that I've actually come across like go ahead.
So sit down
Uh-huh.
at some point and rebuild the dream as best you can,
Mhm.
and it'll feel very, artificial. It's like you're
Uh-huh.
trying to paint the Mona Lisa or something. It's like a hopeless attempt, but do it
Uh-huh.
anyway,
Okay.
because the what happens is the characters in your dream, if you sit with them and you sort of incubate them, they will come alive.
Hmm.
You will paint the Mona Lisa,
Okay.
or it will paint itself,
Yeah.
and that you can continue the dialogue with those
Huh.
characters if you get into them deeply enough and
Uh-huh.
give them enough agency to speak for themselves and get out of the way.
Yeah. Ooh. Huh.
So I think that that's one of the things that dreams are inviting you. They're just a start.
Yeah.
And that's why they keep throwing themselves at you, because there's always more to do.
Uh-huh.
And it's hard for me to get people to do it. They pay me or they don't come to me.
Uh-huh.
I actually think they don't come to me because I tell them, I'm going to bust their chops. So they just stay away. But those that do come to me, I have to keep on them because
Mhm.
no matter how strong you are, there is always some weight you can't lift.
Yeah.
And and that's where you need to go.
Mhm.
So
Huh.
go back to you know, to your younger self and have a dialogue. And then at
Mhm.
first you sort of have to fill in the words like you're putting the words into a little bubble above the image of the younger self. But after a while, you'll see that the words come by themselves
Hmm.
and you don't have to write them in. And you
Okay.
become part of the dream again.
Huh. I'm definitely going to have to try that out. And oof. Yeah. I got some homework. I like it.
Well, this is what I do as a hypnotist. This is
Uh-huh.
hypnotherapy.
Huh.
This is my
Okay.
version of hypnotherapy. That I take you, go back, okay, Keegan, go back to where you were, and there you are, and imagine it, and now, tell me what they're saying, and
Mhm.
and and tell me, who's coming out of the word. Is there a monster under the bed? Where are your
Mhm.
socks? Whatever it was that filled your mind when you were 6 years old.
Mhm.
Go back to that, and I'll keep asking you to reanimate it
Hmm.
until you start to flow, until it starts to flow.
Huh. Wow. Damn. See, that's one thing I've never gotten the pleasure, I guess, of trying yet is hypnotherapy. Maybe I think one of those people that's like I'm afraid of what my subconscious is trying to tell me.
Well, good. That's wise. But it's going to tell you anyway. You can't escape it. We're full of movies. You remember there's another movie, Angel Heart, a Mickey Rourke movie, which I like.
Huh.
Robert De Niro is the devil, and it turns out that he made a pact with the devil, and he's trying to now avoid paying the
Uh.
price. So he's always on the run and constantly murdering people, or
Mm.
he doesn't know he is, but he is. He
Mm.
is. He's a detective who's investigating murders. It turns out he's the one who's committing all the murders, and he's
Yeah.
doing them to avoid the devil, with whom he made a pact. So you can be afraid of what your subconscious is trying to tell you,
Mhm.
but you can't avoid it.
Yeah. That's fair. And I think I've made progress in some rights to having it tell me and trying to, like you said earlier, get out of the way and let it kind of speak. Uh, and it's been interesting, but I think that one of my things is that deep seated fear of like acceptance from other people and stuff like that. And it's like, oh no, and it kind of goes back to that childhood stuff, like if my self comes out, it's not going to be loved and accepted. And I know that in your first episode, you had talked about if you're going to be yourself, you're going to get a lot of shit from other people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
And as what you're saying is, you'll get a lot of shit from yourself too. I'm not
yeah.
worth it. I never was. I mean, eventually, that's the monster in the closet. It's
Hmm.
going to come out and it's going to look like whatever frightens you and makes you
Yeah.
feel sad and lonely. And how do you expect to gain that power if you don't confront it?
Mm.
I mean,
Oof.
you could call it healing the inner child, but that sounds kind of trite.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Uh-huh.
what it really feels like is grief.
Hmm.
It doesn't feel like a healing experience. It
Yeah.
feels like a grieving experience.
Hmm.
And, well, here's another story. This is slightly, well, make of it what you will. I had a client who had a weight problem.
Hmm.
It was a woman, and I didn't think she had a weight problem. I mean, God, the people you see these days, you blow your mind with the weight problems they have. So
Mm.
this well, you saw this woman was 20% overweight, big fucking deal, you know.
Uh-huh.
But it was a deal to her,
Yeah.
and so we did some hypnotherapy thing, and I asked her to imagine a situation and imagine a picture of herself as the worst she could be, and then imagine a picture of herself as the best she could be, and then to talk to these people. What is the
Hmm.
worst you have to offer say to you about themselves? And what's the best you have to offer,
Hmm.
tell you about what you could be? And to her, this was transformational.
Hmm.
She hadn't previously had a relationship with the best of herself.
Mm.
And the best of herself basically said, follow me and you'll be fine. And that was the end of my work, right? Because, like I
Uh-huh.
say, nobody's going to know you better than yourself. And if
Yeah.
you find a guide in yourself, they're going to be more effective than me, who you see once a week and pay
Hmm.
scads of money to.
Yeah.
Um, they'll also be more accurate, both more forgiving and more demanding.
Yeah. Ooh.
And and if it works, you'll find them to be more inspiring.
Hmm.
I mean, it would be you got to worry about being too attached to another person
Hmm.
so that you can't live without them.
Yeah.
That's generally too much weight to put on anybody.
Hmm.
Although it might be nice, it might sound nice, but it's like if you have kids, you can't project all your needs onto them
Hmm.
like many people seem to do inadvertently.
Yeah.
Um, so it's a delicate. The story was that she found her guide,
Uh-huh.
and her guide was the image of herself who she wanted to be.
Yeah.
And it was dissociative. It was like a separate person.
Mm.
So she didn't have to like argue with herself. She really had a separate person she could talk to
Uh-huh.
who, I don't know if they told her the answer to things, but gave her a sense of guidance and hope and confidence
Hmm.
that, and I'd like to say that solved her problem, but I don't know because she didn't come back.
Huh.
And that's what happens, when you
Yeah.
either you solve somebody's problem or you've so pissed them off that they don't want to talk to you anymore, and you don't know which.
Yeah. Oh man. Don't get a lot of closure doing that job, huh?
No, you don't. And if I
Huh.
charged less, I still wouldn't, because then they wouldn't take me seriously.
No.
So you're just
Ouch.
not going to get it.
Damn.
It's not for me to get
Yeah.
closure. That's not
Uh-huh.
my job. I just have to, you know,
Yeah. Except that you made yourself obsolete.
It's like watching movies that you always miss the last half hour, and that's got to be okay.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I mean, you get to make up the ending because then that becomes part of the memory, right?
I don't know. Is it fair? You think? Maybe that's just
uh,
wishful thinking.
I mean, it maybe just depends. Well,
How about making it the end of your own life?
ooh, huh,
I
hmm,
think that's a useful exercise. Where are you
yeah,
going with this life? I mean,
yeah.
you're young. How old are you? 35?
I will be 34 in August.
Man, you got you're a third of the way through. Well, roughly a little more. But you could have three more lives easily
Uh-huh.
if you took advantage of it. Or
Yeah.
you could just sort of coast along being Keegan Reed, done just a little different.
Mm-hmm.
So
Ooh.
what you gonna do?
And like that's a hard question to say. And I was actually talking to myself about this on the way to get the mail earlier today. I was like, am I still the me that was like in addiction and stuff, just a little bit different, or am I like a way different person? I hope that I've changed quite a bit. But like that's the thing too, is that I didn't see myself getting to 20. I didn't see myself getting to 25. Nowhere did I think I was going to make it to 30. And then after I got past it, I was like, oh, I better start having like some kind of plan for something. Fuck. So,
What if you imagine that you're still 10 and that
mm,
the change in the next 10 years of your life now could be as dramatic as the change of between 10 and 20? Maybe that's ridiculous, but if you went to a foreign planet and to live or lived in a foreign culture, if you
mm,
moved to Costa Rica or Mongolia or China or God knows where,
mm,
you would have a lot of learning to do.
yeah,
And you would probably, well, if you took advantage of it, you would, I guess, grow.
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. Maybe, hmm.
yeah. It's it's weird because I mean, looking at the beginning episodes of this podcast, it's like I can see that change within a few years, but it's still one of those like it's a super subjective look at everything. So it's like, am I being too harsh on myself? Am I being too lenient on myself? This, that, or another, and I don't know. There's just a whole bunch that goes on into it that I don't know if I'll
Well, you're
have
not
an
addicted
answer.
now. It sounds like, well, at
Mm-hmm.
least dangerously addicted to a substance.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe some of the people listening to this still are. And I think those people have to take themselves more seriously and look at their future
Mm-hmm.
and project themselves in the future and say, what does your future self say about your current self?
Mm.
You know, because you are tomorrow's child or something. I don't really
Yeah.
know how it works, but you're responsible for who you're growing up to be.
Uh-huh.
And who you grow up to be is going to look back at who you were and say, did they take me seriously or did they
Mm.
just indulge themselves in their current situation as if the future me never existed?
Mm.
And I think that's pretty stern.
Yeah.
I think you've got to take your future seriously. It's only going to be as good as you make it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just blow it off and, smoke and drink and screw yourself into comfort or whatever it is you
Mm-hmm.
get, then that's all you're going to have to show for it in the end.
Yeah.
Is that enough? I mean, maybe I guess it could be enough. Maybe,
Yeah.
just be a debauched fuck up your whole life. That's okay, That's my, value judgment. But
Uh-huh.
you might think that that's normal, and certainly our culture encourages you to become comfortable and sedate and
Mm-hmm.
stable.
Yep.
I mean, the person who's always learning is rather unstable.
Yeah.
Not always. You can be unstable and
Uh-huh.
not learn, but
Uh-huh.
um, and you want to be unstable. Isn't
Mm-hmm.
that what change is?
Yeah. That's where growth is.
That doesn't mean harmful, violent, or ill.
Mm-hmm.
mean, those could be forms of instability, but you want to be good unstable.
Yeah.
So who's going to define that? You
Yeah.
know.
It's up to the individual.
So for example, I work on hard things in physics, and
Mm.
they are hard.
Yeah.
Partly because I don't know the answer, and partly because I don't get any support. And
Mm.
my substance of choice is diversion.
Mm.
So I'm always reading the papers for good Netflix movies, and I'm watching
Mm.
even shitty Netflix movies. And I have to say, am I wasting? I don't think I'm. It's a crutch. I
Mm.
feel like if the more comfort watching I do, the more hard work I can do.
Mm.
But if I do too much comfort watching and no hard work, then I'm just cope. Then it's a coping strategy, and I'm not doing what I should do. So I'm always
Yeah.
pushing myself to do the work I think I need to do, but I'm giving myself some indulgence because otherwise I get burned out.
Yeah. Sounds like that saying, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. But
Yes, that's a great movie, isn't it? Yeah.
um so real quick, we are right near the end of this episode. So I do gotta ask, do you think that we could see you on in the future? Because these kind of talks are like what I think other people need to hear. It's something that opens my eyes and gives me perspectives.
Of course.
And awesome. Um And where can people find you if they're looking to try to get some of that stern hypnotherapy of sorts?
Well, there's lots of stuff to get. My website is mindstrengthbalance.com.
Okay.
And I do try to advertise brain training, hypnotherapy, and learning.
Gotcha.
And they, as we've talked about, have a common element.
Hmm.
And so there are books there. Um, I haven't written a book specifically on addiction, but I do, as I mentioned, think that most of what we do is habitual. So
Hmm.
the latest book was Dreaming Yourself into Being, which talks about dream work. And
Okay.
the previous one was Operating Manual for Enlightenment, I think, which talks about the different parts of putting yourself together. And
Hmm.
so you can sign up for the blog, and then you'll get a link to a free download of one of these
Hmm.
books. And you
Okay.
can call me and talk to me for 20 minutes, and I'll give you shit about something. The shit of your choice. At no
Well,
charge.
that is way too cool of an offer because I mean, it's one of those things. If we get to choose what we're going to indulge or listen to, it might as well be worth something that is, well, a benefit of sorts, right?
Yeah, well, as you said, if you're the kind of person who needs to have your hand burned,
Uh-huh.
I couldn't exactly do it. That would be not nice. But
Yeah.
I can see, and I have had clients who definitely I think needed their hands burned,
Mm.
and I really don't do that. I just give you criticism,
Mhm.
and nobody can burn your hand like you can.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just gotta say thank you for this awesome episode, and thank you for giving us some really awesome insights into dream work and just all sorts of things that we talked about because it was a lot, but at the same time, it was one of those episodes that I'm going to be like, all right, I'm going to mull over this. I'm going to revisit this episode a few times before I feel like I've really got it in my head because there's just so much that I'm like, huh, wait a minute, huh, wait, oh. So I hope everyone else out there got something out of it. Um,
yeah. Thanks. That's
and
good.
yeah, and I mean, I'm looking forward to our next conversation as well because then I'll be able to let you know what younger me and all that was talking about in the dream that I had recently. Uh,
Well, if you can afford it, we can do a hypnotic session, and then we can talk about it online about what your younger you actually said. I'd be
Yeah,
curious. This is why I
yeah.
do therapy, because I'm
Uh-huh.
curious.
Fair enough. I think that that's the best reason to do it, you know?
I do. I'd
So,
agree. I agree. I
yeah,
don't know what you need. I'm only
yeah.
curious to find out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. If someone were to go into the field thinking that they know the answers for everyone else, that's a big red flag and stay away from that person.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. But a lot of people are attracted to them for obvious reasons, you know.
because they want someone that has the answer and they want
Yeah,
that quick fix and
yeah, yeah.
well, lots of different things. So,
Yeah,
it's
pretty
not for
cheap.
me.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Well, I can see that because you're here.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Lincoln Stoller, I got to say thank you for being on Guidance and Recovery again. It has been an absolute honor and pleasure, and I look forward to speaking with you again in the near future. And do you have any last words for the audience this evening?
Uh, I talk too much, so no, I have none.
Nah, nah, you're totally fine. We do all sorts of rabbit holes over here, and it's the best way to connect all the dots that we didn't even know needed connecting sometimes. So, with that being said, everyone else out there, thank y'all for listening to Guidance and Recovery on WDJY 99.1 FM. And as always, try to love yourself, love others if you can, but you got to try to love yourself first. Try to be your favorite version of yourself today. And if you're having a mental health crisis, you can dial 988 or text 741-741. And if you're in the LGBTQ plus community, you can dial the Trevor Project up in Canada and just try to ask yourself your future self, what they want from you today. Did I say that right?
Yeah,
Awesome. So with that, y'all have a great evening and we'll see y'all next time. Much love. Fun.
thanks. Great.